We have a massive Los Angeles Lakers trade update to go over today as a new report has dropped revealing a surprising Lakers trade target. We're going to break down exactly who that is and what it means going forward. We're also going to discuss another report that has been circulating revealing some other intriguing Lakers trade targets according to these reports. So stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. But before we get into it, if you're part of the 83% who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. So if you're enjoying that, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to 5K subscribers. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to go over today, and specifically regarding new trade targets. Now, as things have continued to swirl, continue to escalate surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers, a new report has dropped revealing that Robert Williams is now a target for the Lakers. You can see this here. Lakers trade rumors. Robert Williams is eyed as a front court target after his injury return. Now, we know that the Lakers have been linked to a ton of different players, and there's some more we're going to go over today, but it's no secret that they're looking for a trade, and specifically a trade in exchange for a backup big man. You think about Jonas Valanciunas, you think about other guys like Walker Kessler, a lot of guys that the Lakers have been linked to, but Robert Williams, someone who's been dealing with injuries since being traded from the Celtics to the Trailblazers, is a super interesting target. And you can see this here. Portland Trailblazers center Rob Williams and Wizards big man Jonas Valanciunas has been mentioned as the two guys piquing the Lakers' interest prior to the February 6th trade deadline, Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated reports. Williams missed time at the beginning of the year due to a hamstring strain. He suffered during training camp, made his debut on November 8th, and then suffered a concussion on the 25th. Thankfully, he's returned to the court now and is averaging basically 10 points, 6 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks a game in only 19 minutes. And there's a few different things to go over with this and to go over here. For one, Robert Williams, when healthy, is an extremely good backup center. I mean, he was obviously a starting center for the Boston Celtics, sorry, and he was a Defensive Player of the Year finalist a few years ago. But he's obviously not the same player as he once was. When you're looking at Robert Williams and as a fit to this team, he would be an unbelievable bench piece because he is for one, he's a defensive menace. He is phenomenal defensively. He protects the rim great pick and roll defender, all these different things. And when you pair him alongside Anthony Davis, now I'm not saying that there's going to be a ton of lineups with them together because it's an interesting fit, but I think it could definitely fit fairly well here. He would be super intriguing. We've obviously covered Valanciunas in the past. He's more of an offensive-minded big man, and it really depends on how Rob Pelinka is going to value and kind of see the future of this team, because if they get Valanciunas as the backup big, it is a completely different and, quite frankly, a polar opposite effect that what Robert Williams will give you. But you see, again, we dived into Valanciunas in the past. We're talking about Williams. He would be a great fit in LA, but his big issue right now, is that he's missed all but 6 games last year after suffering a dislocation. And in March 2022, he suffered a torn meniscus. He's been dealing with injuries, but when healthy, he could be a huge pickup for his team. The next contract is it's interesting. He has some money left on his deal. But if you've made it this far, let me know down below in the comment section. Is this a player you would be interested in getting? Dealing with a ton of injuries. He is a very good defensive player, even in his brief moments this season. Like, he's only averaging, because of his injuries, the load managing him in Portland, about 20 minutes a game. And if you can give 20 minutes of elite defense off of the bench for the Los Angeles Lakers, that would be perfect. It would give AD some rest. You'd be able to elevate the defensive floor for a team that desperately needs defensive help. We know guys like Austin Reaves are pretty good defensively, obviously, but you have an AD is the best defensive big man in the league. But if you can add another phenomenal defensive player onto this team, it would be good. However, I'm not entirely sold on, obviously, his offensive ability wouldn't be great. You'd really be relying on their, LeBron James to kind of facilitate for Robert Williams, because he's not going to do anything himself. He's not going to post up. He's not going to shoot the ball. He can't stretch the floor. He would strictly be a pick and roll, guy, especially offensively. Defensively, sure, he's going to be great. He's going to be all over the place, averaging almost 2 blocks a game. And as you look at the defensive chart here, he would really replace Cam Reddish and specifically Jaxson Hayes. And Hayes, there was high hopes for him, former lottery pick, but obviously with the Pelicans. But now, if you get Robert Williams back there, he kind of replaces what Hayes they were hoping they would get, which is a defensive pick and roll center. Now, we know JJ Redick has come out and said they're looking for a point of attack defender. Now, that doesn't mean this trade would stop themselves from getting a point of attack defender. I think if they get a guy like, whether it's Valanciunas or Rob Williams, they would be hoping to go out and get more pieces, specifically a guard. But I think Robert Williams could be an interesting piece. I'm curious to see what you all think about it in the comments. I see fans kind of split and torn. Some would love it. Some would love him to be on the Lakers, depending on what you give up, which we will dive into here in a moment. But some wouldn't, because he can't stretch the floor. He doesn't, elevate the floor or the ceiling offensively. But what he does do is create defensive havoc on multiple ends. And you look at his stats here again. This season, only 9 games, which is already more than a triple, or 33% more games, than he played in 2023 in 9. But he hasn't really played a ton of minutes since 2021 in the Defensive Player of the Year season. And he's not going to be starting for the Lakers. I mean, maybe they'd play some interesting lineups with him starting. He's obviously a center. He is great defensively, really solid. And he has actually been shooting the free throw. He's shooting well from the free throw line lately. But he would elevate the defensive ceiling and floor, but specifically the floor, especially with that bench unit. It would allow them to give AD some more rest. It would allow them to go ahead and just mess with some different lineups here, because you look at it now, I mean, none of these guys are phenomenal defensively aside from AD and Austin Reaves. Max Christie, he's shown flashes. Hachimura, he's an okay defender. LeBron, obviously, at this point of his career, he's not a great defender. He used to be a pretty solid two-way player. But you're hoping to get that out of guys like Cam Reddish and Gabe Vincent, but you haven't really been getting that on either end of the floor from them this season, which leads me now to kind of think what would work. And you look at a proposed trade according to a Bleacher Report article. So this would be Jeremy Grant and Robert Williams for D'Lo, Hachimura, Max Christie, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and a 2029 first-round pick. Now, I don't think we'll have another video on Jeremy Grant. I don't think they're going to do a deal where they get both of these guys in the same trade, but it is something to consider. Now, if you're the Lakers, would you do this deal? D'Lo, he's going to be salary in any trade. Hood-Schifino, he's kind of, maybe the Blazers would value him. I wouldn't think so. Max Christie, he's having a pretty rough year after having a decent start. He's shown flashes, and you're giving up that kind of prestige 2029 first-round pick, which you don't really know what the direction this franchise is going to be going in. So, and Rui Hachimura, who's been very good and has been starting almost every game for the Lakers. So, I'm curious to see what you all think about this deal. I think it makes some sense. I'm not entirely sure that it is a deal that I would pull the trigger on. I do love the Jeremy Grant aspect of this deal. I think he does a lot of what the Lakers want and what they need. But when we're specifically going around Robert Williams, I don't think it's realistic for the Blazers to want to get a first-round pick for Robert Williams. I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, if you include Jeremy Grant, sure. But in a nutshell, it's just not something that I see as a likely possibility for this team. Now, that being said, you look at some other guys that they're interested in. Walker Kessler, Robert Williams, Cam Johnson, Clint Capella, Brandon Ingram. Obviously, Ingram is injured. You look at Robert Williams and Walker Kessler. They do similar things. Kessler is younger. Kessler is a bit better offensively, not quite as good defensively, but is an absolute menace on the glass, which is something that the Lakers could certainly use. So, and we know Cam Johnson. I think they're going to try to get a backup big man as well as a 3-and-D wing or guard. Specifically, Cam Johnson comes to mind. Dorian Finney-Smith comes to mind. One of those guys to help really bolster this rotation that desperately needs it. They tried it with Christian Koloko. He could be a sneaky, fit. They obviously signed him. He used to play for the Raptors. But at this point, I'm curious to see what you all think down below in the comment section. A lot of things moving, a lot of moving pieces at this point. And ultimately, I think Robert Williams would be a very interesting fit if they want to go the defensive route. And if they don't, they, of course, have the option of Jonas Valanciunas, among many other players. But that'll wrap it up. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. And again, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. We're making daily Lakers content. But thank you guys for watching. See you later.